Well, I think it's important for everybody to have a good attitude. Like I said before, there's a lot of good musicians out there. Nathan and I and all of us know a lot of musicians that are great. I know a lot of piano players that are so much better than me that it's scary. But I know I have a great attitude. I know I have a winning attitude. And that's 50% of it. I mean, talent truly is only 50%. So if you're looking for some real educational words, let me just say this, that you can be the greatest and know every lick and be perfect and all that. But you've got to be able to get along with people. You've got to be able to make people feel good about themselves. I mean, in my job as a record producer, my only job is to make the singer or the bass player or the drummer, whoever I'm working with, feel good about themselves. That's the only way I can get a great performance out of them. And Quincy Jones is the master of that. He will make you feel so darn good about yourself that you just come out of the studio floating and you end up wanting to give 120% instead of 100. So I think it's important for everybody to have a good attitude. Let me even be stronger about it. If you don't have a good attitude, you're not going to succeed, period.
Attitude is really key, because there is no room for dividum in the studio. And we do have some on occasion, but there's no room for it. And they will not be coming back too often, because it's too difficult anyway to have a personality problem in a situation like this. It's such a collective collaboration. It really is. And I think the most divine collaboration of creation is a collective one. If you can really burn by yourself, amen, great. And if this one can, fine. But when you get that as a whole, there's nothing on the planet like that, because that's when the divinity hits it. And I've always been impressed since I was a little kid by a big band, 5 saxes, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, a rhythm section. Everybody thinking about the same thing and feeling the same thing at the same time. A symphony orchestra blows it up by, to the 10th power. Because that's 120 people and a conductor that is thinking about exactly the same thing. They once asked Stravinsky whether he was thinking about the Acropolis when he wrote Apollo. He said, no, I was thinking about violins. When it's time to get down, you have to pull all of your senses together, because it's got to be a terrible feeling for you to miss 2 notes and blow the whole take that's going to be a perfect take. And you can't ever take a chance on what's not going to be a perfect take, because when we make a take, and we've seen this thousands of times in the studio, when you first do the first 2 or 3 and it's not really in the pocket, as we say, everybody will say, oh, it's a little too fast, or the wrong key, is all everybody's got a different take, And Bruce will say, my engineer will say, stay a little closer to the mic, or let's take the amp back from the mic, etc. But when it's in the pocket, everybody just like that. I said, yeah, there's nothing to talk about. And that's the rewarding experience in the studio over all these years. I've been out there for 55 years, and that's when it's happening. And that is right in the pocket, and there's nothing to discuss, because we let God walk through the room, and God bless that moment.
I'm going to give you a little secret that my father taught me, and it worked for me, and I'm going to pass it on now to the up-and-coming bass players. Aptitude plus attitude determines altitude, period. You can be the best player in the world. If your attitude is wrong, you won't be at the session. If your abilities are not so good, but your attitude is great, you may not be at the session. The two together, you got magic. But if you have to have one, more so than the other, have a great attitude. People will love to work with you and even hang around until you get the part right, just because you can feel it and you're jovial about this. You're not laboring on it. That's everything in a session. And you're giving. In other words, you are actually quite giving, meaning you will give up the notes. You will give up, well, let me try this. If that doesn't work, let me try another thing. Opposed to saying, you know what, I don't like it. Wrong attitude. It's all about how you come off, and that's selling yourself. Attitude is everything.
I think for the whole idea of the attitude of people coming in, yeah, you want nice people. You want to be pleasant, and because if they're pleasant, then, and if they're good, then we'll probably call them back. If they're not pleasant, then I don't know if it's going to be worth me going through it, you know.
I think you have to check your ego at the door, yeah. I mean, that, of course, you know, you can survive, succeed, and do very well in this business without doing that. I mean, I think, in a way, you're going to be pushed, you know, pushed aside by other people that are putting their ego first if you don't have, you know, the confidence. I mean, I think, you know, when people write to me or ask me, you know, which they do a lot, you know, how can I start in this business? You know, I'm really great and I want to start. And I will say to them, you know, confidence in yourself is the most important thing, because you're going to have a lot of people saying that you're no good, not as good as, or whatever. So you've got to have confidence in yourself. You know, where that borders on cockiness, self-assurance, and arrogance, and sort of conceit, and sort of just complete obsessiveness with what you do, you know, then that's going the wrong way, you know. But you've got to be in there knowing that you can do it. And believe me, you know, every time I sit in a room with other people and play, I have to remind myself that I'm there because they asked me. But I get feelings of insecurities, inadequacies every time I sit down and play with other musicians. I mean, one of my nightmares really was playing with my big band, of visiting another world of the big band. And Nathan was there with me on the first time I ever did it, of visiting this world which has existed in its better forms with the Buddy Rich, Count Basie, Duke Ellington bands. And here I am visiting this world, and there's 20 people at the end of the tune. They're all going to look at you and they're all going to say, what's he doing? You know? Or they're going to say, hey man, it sounds great. So, you know, even if you've got a lot of success and people think, wow, he's had all those hit records and he still feels that. Everybody feels that. And if you, in a way, if you don't feel that, you will. You know, there's a classic quote that I remember being told by Dame Edith Evans, one of the great English actresses, was standing at the side of the stage in London waiting to go on, and this starlet, who was just her first major theatrical production, was beside her. And she said, "Are you nervous?" And the little young starlet said, "No, no, no, no." She said, "Well, don't worry, that'll come." which is really true, you know, in everything. That edge is a good thing. So it's, you know, if you feel that way and you're just about to start playing, it's kind of a normal thing. But none of us, it doesn't get any easier for any of us, really.